A new SMB bug exposes Windows host to remote exploit.
Hey, Michael, I heard you have a story about a new SMB vulnerability you wanted to share.
Yeah, Jaime, this one's interesting. It's from a multi-part blog series from ZecOps, where they talk about this new SMB flaw. They dubbed it SMBleed. It's CVE 2020-1206, and it's a flaw in the SMB version 3 decompression function. And they talk about how it's vulnerable to overflow. They go through some proof of concepts for denial of service. So essentially, you're basically blue screening the machine. But they also talk about how you can do local and remote code execution attacks. So they kind of go through kind of excruciating detail, right, on SMB, the protocol itself, specifically how you can craft requests to cause the various scenarios where you go in overflow and how you can access specific memory. Again, if you're doing authenticated on the host or if you're doing it authenticated via request. It's got a severity score of 10 from CISA, so the U.S. Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. So it's fairly serious. And again, really interesting. Certainly, if you like looking at detail, if you're familiar with the protocol, or if you want to see exactly how you could exploit this, again, they have links to proof of concept, code out on GitHub. So definitely an interesting read. They do talk a little bit about remediation. So what do you do? Like usual, you should always have the latest patches that they recommend. You could also block port 445 if you don't need it. And they talk a little about how you can disable version 3.1.1. I think they say it's a little bit involved with some kind of hidden registry keys. But again, kind of like we typically say, make sure that you're staying patched with the latest Microsoft updates that protect you from these kind of late breaking vulnerabilities and bugs.
Very good. Yeah, and I think this vulnerability, they spent a long time trying to make it an RCE, right? But before they were able to use it as a privilege escalation vulnerability.
Yeah, they talk about, it's actually interesting too. If you see this kind of how they progress, right? It's like you said, initially they talk about just denial of service, right? So you can just, you access some random memory, it crashes the host, and they theoretically you could do a RCE, and they kind of talk through it, how at first, it's based on you need some kind of authenticated user, depending on where you're going to access, how it flows through the protocol. And then ultimately they prove out this non-authenticated RCE. So yeah, it's interesting how it just progresses from simple to kind of getting to that goal of having that remote RCE. So it's, yeah, definitely, like I said, very detailed. If you want to dig into, if you're curious about SMB internals, right, and how it verifies requests from the requester, it's definitely an interesting blog.
Yeah, and it's amazing how people keep finding vulnerabilities in SMB. It's a protocol that has been in Windows for decades. That code base probably has been audited, like by thousands of people, and they keep finding vulnerabilities, and that proves that when the code base is so big and there's so much functionality, it's really hard to have something that is flawless. And especially at least we know that it took them a while to actually create a working exploit for an RCE, and that says a lot about the amount of effort that Microsoft put in Windows in terms of mitigations to avoid making the exploitation easy, because it used to be much easier than this, right? Maybe 10 years ago, this would have taken a couple of days, right?
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. It's just how mature this protocol is, right? That you still can find vulnerabilities no matter how many eyes have been on code, right? And how long something has been out there. So that's an excellent point.